Okay, well, hello everyone. Welcome to Wine Women Words. I am Michelle, and with me, of course, is Diana.
Hello.
And this evening, we are joined by Sarah Miller, who is the author of Caroline, Little House Revisited. Hi, Sarah. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So we were just chatting before about lots of stuff. Before Diana joined us, we were chatting about everything. I totally just lost my train of thought. So someone can please. I had to drink like half a glass of wine before Diana got here, so my brain functioning a little slower than my mouth is.
Totally my fault because I am late. We were talking about how it's gloomy here in California, even though it's the first day of summer. Though Chicago totally missed the memo that it's summertime.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous, actually. It was like 62 degrees, which, okay, I know by Chicago standards and Midwest standards, that's not bad. Like, that's, like T-shirt and maybe a light sweater and jeans. But it is summer.
It's June. It's June.
We have survived the never-ending winter. We survived snow in, like, April. So I'm ready for summer. And Sarah apparently had like a beautiful day in Michigan.
We had one decent day of summer right now. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm not going to look.
Don't jinx it. Whatever you do, don't jinx it.
I feel very betrayed by the bordering Midwest states. I feel like if we're going to do this, we're going to do this together. But no. So tonight, partly because of the weather, it's going to be a 2-glass night. And I am 2-glassing, that sounds really bad. I am 2-glassing Ultramon, which is a red blend, Spanish wine. Yes. So a red blend from Winc, which is amazing. I'm very glad that this is my 2-glass wine. What are you drinking, Diana?
I am drinking a Copycat from Tempranillo. I believe I opened up this one last week, and I'm still enjoying it. It's really good. It's got this really nice berries and spice flavor to it.
Oh, by the way, I loved your note to the FedEx man this morning. I have to read this to you, Sarah, just so you know what we're talking about. Diana was supposed to get her Winc box, her new shipment of Winc wine today, and she put a little index card, like that index card, on her front door that said, "Dear FedEx driver, please give my husband a minute or two to either wake up or come in from working on the yard. Trust in my dogs; they will wake him up for you."
Yes, trust in my dogs. It's the religion of my household.
Because they don't wait very long, and then if they take it away because you have to sign for it.
Right. Yeah. So by the time he got outside, he realized that he didn't hear the knock at the door. The dogs were barking, and he's like, "Oh, there must be somebody at the door." And by the time he gets out there, the guy's already driving away. So I figured, okay, he's home during the day. Stay. I'm gonna put this note on the door so that the guy will maybe wait. And the guy didn't show up when Ryan was home. He showed up in that there was like this brief, 2-hour window of time where neither of us were home, and that's when he showed up. So yeah, thankfully there is an option where I can actually go to a location and have them hold it, and I'm just gonna go pick it up tomorrow.
That's what I had to do, because then they're like, "Well, we tried 3 times, and if by the 3rd time you're not there, we just send it back." I'm like, "No,
no wine for you."
But
oh, sorry. Go ahead. You do it.
Oh, you were saying the same thing.
No. Yeah, I know. But you do it.
Out of my head, Michelle. But with Winc, it's really great. We love getting the wines in every month. Always look forward to it. I think as soon as I get my order of wine, I always go ahead and pick up my next month's order right away. And it's really easy and really fun to do. Just go to trywinc.com/www podcast, and you can get $22 off your first order of wine. And give it a try and see what we're talking about. And everything is flavor matched to you based on your palate quizzes. And every time as you rate, the better it gets.
And the link that we just mentioned is also in the comment box. I've always wanted to do this. It's in the comment box below. So be sure to check it out. But now that we have discussed our wine, we are going to discuss Caroline. And so to kick us off, Sarah, what drew you to the story, and why did you decide to kind of retell it from Caroline's perspective?
It was like an audiobook accident. I was working at a children's bookshop when Harper put all of those books on audio, and they had Sherry Jones do the performance. And, you know, she's a pro. She does what an actor does, which is give you more than what's on the page. And so when you're a grown-up and you're listening to somebody of her caliber read, you start hearing things because she's using tone and inflection to convey some stuff that maybe as a kid it wouldn't even occur to you, you know, just didn't catch on, like, oh, Ma doesn't sound real happy right now, you know. And that's when I started thinking. There's this particular scene in Little House on the Prairie when Pa goes to town. He's supposed to be gone for like 4 days, and it takes him 4.5 or 5, so he's late. And it's Laura, as telling the story as, you know, as a kid, wakes up in the middle of the night, and she hears the wind, and she's afraid, and she says to Ma, she sees Ma sitting in the rocking chair in front of the fire. She says, what's that howling? And Ma says, it's the wind howling. Go to sleep, Laura. And Laura does exactly what she's supposed to do because, you know, you do what Ma says. Everything's going to be fine. Well, also, by the way, in Ma's lap, Laura notices Pa's pistol. And I went, Pa has a pistol? Pa has a rifle. It goes over the door. It makes us feel safe like the shepherdess on the mantle does. And I just went, and really then started to wonder, what is it like to be the lady in the rocking chair? And oh, P.S., she's pregnant that year. That's when I wanted to know, what is it like to be the person who is at least halfway responsible for making Little House feel always safe and cozy. And when I figured this out, she was my age. I went, oh, so it's my job to do this. Wow.
That's adulting on a whole different level.
Yeah.
But and we were talking about this before, what really struck me, and I've talked about this probably for like the last 8 or 9 hours of the day, either to Sarah before we started, or to Diana in text messages, or to my husband, who probably had no clue what I was actually talking about. But at the beginning of the book is all about them getting ready to move, and I am so grateful for all the times that I've moved. Very grateful that I moved in the 21st century, because it just sounds awful.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the stuff and all the packing, but it's also, you know, by the way, it's going to take us 2 months to get there, and we got to eat. So how many pounds of flour do you need for 2 adults and 2.5 children for 2 months?
That journey in and of itself was stressful. And they traveled from Wisconsin, it was, right? Down to Kansas.
Yeah.
And what a stressful journey. I mean, there's a point where they're having to cross over a frozen lake in one of those wagons, and I was so anxious. I was just as anxious as Caroline. Like,
yeah, and that's day one, you know? That's like we've just left home, and now we have to cross the ice road. Yeah. Lauren Goes Wilder takes, I used to know the figures like kaboom. I want to say, let's say like 30 pages. To, you know, the family from Wisconsin to Kansas. And when I was thinking about it, really thinking about what that was really like, if you're the grown-up, I went, no. I mean, so I took 125 or something, because it's not just, oh boy, let's hop in the wagon and the bulldog's wagging his tail underneath and won't this be fun? There's a lot of mud, and there's a lot of sacks of flour and canvas, and yeah.
Yeah, when they're stranded in the rainstorm in there, I was just like, oh, I've done some camping trips in the rain, in the storms, and I'm like, oh no, that poor family. I feel for them. I really do. And I also had flashbacks to the times where I played Oregon Trail.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we would have been dead if I was the one in charge of it all.
When they put it out on, was it archive.org, so you could play it online? I was supposed to be working, and I was like, no, I'm going to play Oregon Trail, and I won for the first time in my life, and I felt so smug and superior.
Oh, I don't think you should be that.
I don't know if I died more of a snake bite or a dysentery.
Dysentery, man. That's the way to go.
Dysentery. We all got dysentery.
I want the t-shirt that says you have died of dysentery.
And anyone born like 1995 or later would have no clue what you're talking about.
No.
Which is heartbreaking.
Well, they came out with a brand new one. Jenny Walsh was on, and we were talking about this. They came out with a newer version because I used to play it with my brother and sister until my sister got pissed off that my brother and I kept killing the bunnies.
Those are the easiest things to hunt.
Yes. So she got mad that we kept killing the bunnies, so she had the game on us. I know, she's a little brat. But yeah, they came out with another version, but it wasn't the same as the original. No. The original really captured our generation's imagination, and I feel like with this book, it was recapturing that. It was in so many ways just a homecoming where you've got that bit of that Oregon Trail in there, and then that nostalgia for Little House on the Prairie, because we're getting to see this from an adult's perspective as adults, and which makes it even better. In fact, I was talking to a friend today, and we were talking about having you on the show, Sarah, and the book, and she was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to pick up the book because I'm just now introducing my kids to Little House on the Prairie. Yeah. And she's like, I've got to read the story now because this will be really cool. And I don't know, I found that this week it was like this security blanket. I feel like that was the only way I could describe the book. It's been a crappy week. Social media has been really ugly. I turned it all off and read most of the book. I'm about halfway through. And it was like nice security blanket. I could really just hide behind the pages of the book. And I read somewhere that you actually worked with the Ingalls estate. Is that correct?
It's true. Yeah, because I don't own the story. That is still in copyright, and because that's somewhat fictional. Yeah, I had to have their approval, or it wasn't going to happen.
How did that work out, and how was it working with the estate?
It worked tremendously well. I had no idea what to expect because they own it. They have the right to say you shall or you shall not. And I was waiting. I submitted chunks at a time as I worked so that we could sort of stay on the same page. And make sure, I wasn't veering in a direction that they were going to say, oh, no, you don't. And it never happened. I mean, that was absolutely their right to say, yay or nay. And they always were happy. And it kind of blew my mind. And it was really pleasant. Yeah. Because it could have been, I mean, they could have had their finger in that pie all the way along. And no, they let me do what I wanted to do, and luck or synergy or whatever, we just, it was a good melding.
Fantastic. Now, were they able to share some stories or insights that weren't in the actual books, the original Little House on the Prairie books?
Not really, because there are no direct heirs. Okay. Laura had one daughter and a son who died in infancy, and Rose, her daughter, had a premature birth. That baby boy did not survive. So that direct line from Charles and Caroline through Laura is no more. So what exists is, that it's kind of a finite thing. There was some stuff that I was able to dig out of archives and so forth, but no, they really, as far as I know, don't have access to any more than anybody with an obsession, and a willingness to dig can also find.
Gotcha.
And I remember reading the books I didn't read the whole series, but I remember reading Little House on the Prairie. And it was a long time before it clicked in my mind that it was a fictionalized telling, but it, you know, that they were real people.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, I mean, maybe that was just me, and sometimes things take a little longer to click, but it just kind of makes this even more special, because not only are you revisiting characters that a lot of us grew up with, and it's, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, what are these characters doing? But it's revisiting people that actually lived and existed and experienced these things. So I think that's really cool.
And if you're as preoccupied with precision as I happen to be, that makes it more of a challenge. Because, I mean, if it's just a beloved fictional character, that's one thing, and you know, that's a tall order. But when it was an actual human who breathed, that just adds a whole nother layer of responsibility and respect that you need to show to people. And for those of us, I mean, for people who grew up and were fans of the TV show, it's a real muddle of fact and fiction, and this version of fiction and that version of fiction, because the books are not precise recollections. They are fictionalized and, you know, into stories. And then the TV show, you know, sort of jumped further in a fictional direction from there. And a lot of people are familiar primarily with the TV series. So there's a lot, if you're not in like both fandoms, there's a lot to learn, and then it can be fun or it can be frustrating depending on your temperament, to see how those things are similar and different.
Yeah, I went on a whole research rabbit hole myself after I started reading the book, and found, I believe it was the Heritage website about Little House on the Prairie and the differences between the show and their real lives and the books. Now, when you were doing this story, did you try to meld some of that together? Did you take from some of the TV series, or was it just strictly the books and the history?
I went straight from books and history because I'm just sort of uppity that way.
That's okay, you're a historical fiction author.
It's what I do. But, you know, the show is historical fiction too. They just took more liberties, and they explored, I mean, consider that started in the 70s. Some of the issues that they took on are fairly impressive. They just didn't happen to be, you know, things that happened to the Ingalls, but they used, you know, family and characters that were very comfortable and familiar to push some boundaries, which is a cool thing. I stuck mostly with, I don't know if it's a bigger balance between the books or the history. I want it to be familiar. I don't want you to be coming in here and going, wait, whoa, everything's different, because that's no fun. You know, if I wanted to do that, I could just have chosen, you know, generic pioneer woman. But I wanted from the history that would show you how it was different for Ma than it was for Laura. Like the fact that she's pregnant, the fact that, which you don't know it doesn't come through in the books, that she was poor as a child. She was, her father died in the boat sank. He was a second hand or something on a ship in the Great Lakes, and the boat went down, and she was about 6. So that really impacted the family emotionally, financially. So she's got baggage that just isn't visible in the Little House books. And I wanted to bring some of that in because it gives better context for how she behaves, really. Because she's always insisting that, you know, enough is good enough. And she's always sort of pleased with, and that's a great way to be if that's how you are. But when you're a kid and you're reading those books, you're like, Ma, don't be upset that there's not going to be a fun Christmas. You know, it's great that we've got this big fat turkey, but I wanted some loot, you know, but when you understand where Ma came from and what her childhood was like, then you understand why she's just so ever-loving, grateful for everything, because she was, because she knew what it was to want, and she didn't want her children to experience that.
Absolutely, and it's great to see that perspective, because I mean, I think from a child's perspective, and perhaps from Laura's perspective as she was writing the books, she might not have been able to get into that headspace because we don't always think of our parents in that regards.
And a lot of that Laura was not necessarily aware of until after her mother died. Caroline Ingalls died in 1924, and in 1925, Laura struck up a correspondence with her Aunt Martha, her mother's sister, asking for family stories. And she probably learned some degree of that for the first time through those letters.
Absolutely. And I believe, are we at our half hour?
Not yet. We have a few more minutes, but we mentioned the website for the estate, but I was browsing through your website, and I love the research gallery that you posted. Yeah. And I think that's the first time I've ever seen an author share part of their research. I'm just curious why you decided to post those pictures, because I think that's awesome.
Pretty much for that reason, because I thought it was cool and fun. I was like, look what I did. So in 2010, I took a giant, it was over 2,500 miles by myself. I took this grand circle tour of all the Wilder sites. I went from Michigan down to Missouri, and then across to Kansas, up to South Dakota, and then started working my way back east through Minnesota, Wisconsin, down to Iowa, and then back home. So, you know, and all those things are real. So, you know, why not show them off for the people who can't get there? Because they're not really close to things, those sites. Thanks, Pa, you know.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, it's not like they're going to be in the middle of a bustling city, given the name of the series.
Yeah,
but that's so great. That's so great that you can see the stores, and you can actually get pictures in your head of the actual locations. And Little House on the Prairie is just such a part of our culture, I think. So I love having the idea of having this book from this perspective.
I mean, I can still picture the book cover for Little House on the Prairie. Like the one that I'm remembering was green, I think, with the picture of the wagon on it. So I don't know if that's probably one of like a million versions.
I was of the yellow paperback era myself, but yeah.
I was of the television show.
I was too wimpy for the television show. I never saw the episode where, you know, Laura's nervous about the big spelling bee or whatever. I saw the one where the baby dies or Albert's girlfriend is raped. It was just like heavy. No.
Going, I think not.
Yeah, I was like, I don't like Walnut Grove. Terrible things happen there.
What was the name of the actor who played the father in that?
Michael Landon.
Yes, I think my grandmother had a crush on him. No, I say this all seriousness because we watched Little House on the Prairie, and then she was just like, if there was a magazine at the grocery store aisle, she had to pick up a copy of that magazine that had him on it. And then Highway to Heaven.
Yep.
Had to watch that every week. So yeah,
he did have that marvelous floopy hair.
Yes. Yes. No beard. He didn't have Pa's beard.
No, and there is never, ever, ever a bulldog as Jack. I asked somebody, are bulldogs really that difficult to deal with? And they said, yep. That's apparently why you will never see Jack played by an actual bulldog.
Yeah, because I can believe it. We used to want a bulldog. I should say my husband used to want a bulldog. I think they're adorable. And my cousin got a bulldog. And he swears that he spends more money on that bulldog than he spends on his own children. I mean, the dog got a yeast infection in its paws.
Yeah.
Because it licked its paws so much. And they had to get the dog antibiotics for the paw. The yeast infection in the paw. And you have to clean out the wrinkles every single day.
Yeah,
otherwise
or
the dog
else.
will get sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're high maintenance dogs.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is why we're gonna have dachshunds. That's it. My dogs are low maintenance. My long hair gets a haircut once a year. I'm good.
I thought huskies were high maintenance, but I just vacuum a lot.
Mm-hmm. And he tears stuff up a lot too.
Yeah, and he destroys things. But his guilty face is like the best guilty face in the world. Like that gets him off the hook of so many.
Kind of worth it.
Because he knows, like, he peeks around the refrigerator, like, I'm sorry. It's annoying. But so now we are just about at our half hour. So everyone, this book just came out on June 12th. I thought, for a second, I thought we were before June 12th, but no, we are actually on the first day of summer. Yeah. So go out and get your copy of Caroline by Sarah Miller. And sorry.
Or go to our website, onewomenwordspodcast.com, and enter our giveaway, because we have 5 prizes going on in our raffle, and one of these is a copy of Caroline, one of our gifts.
We like giving gifts away. It's our 2nd birthday, you guys. This is huge.
Exactly. We're entering our terrible 2s.
You're so old.
I know.
We're gonna be
our wine consumption just grows with each year.
But is a podcast like dog years, though? Is it going to be like 7 times 2?
Maybe like, I don't know, what's in between dog and human? Like cat? Bunny? Is bunny years a thing?
I don't know. And I'm probably not safe to go with bunny years, because we've already established I shoot bunnies in video games. So
maybe we shouldn't talk about bunnies.
No bunny talk here.
But yes, do that. I was going to mention the giveaway. I really was. As I pour my 2nd glass of wine. So, but thank you so much for joining us, Sarah, and be sure to come back and visit, because now you're part of the family.
Woo, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Definitely. And now we are switching over to our discussion about Daughters of the Night Sky, for those of you who have been reading. And so
we're make copies of Daughters of the Night Sky too.
We are.
Yeah, we are. The copy of the Daughters of the Night Sky that we're giving away is actually going to be signed.
I have an itch on my back, so I'm not dancing. I'm trying to reach it.
No, for those of you who are watching,
listening,
it was quite weird. Or I felt, I'm sorry.
The ones who are watching can see it.
I had a very healthy glass of wine tonight. And allergy medicine.
Oh, man.
I've got an entertaining Diana tonight. So for those of you who are listening, that was quite an entertaining dance that Michelle did against the back of her chair.
There it is again.
Yeah, very puppy-like with her shake. So if you don't watch, I recommend hopping on YouTube just to watch that portion of it.
That's around minute 32, 33, just FYI.
You're so helpful.
I know, I try. If you ever watch Planet Earth, the one with the mountain goats that live on the edge of the cliff, there's there's a clip of bears that are like rubbing on trees, and I was channeling my inner bear.
Get on out of here, bear.
I know the story. I wasn't there.
Yeah, I totally went there. So in addition to Caroline and Daughters of the Night Sky, for our 2-year birthday, we are also giving away a copy of I Like My Life by Abby Fabiashi. For those of you who remember, she was on the show last month in May. So if you want to hear about how cool this book is, you can come on and check it out. We had her on, I believe it was a full episode. I think we only did a half-an-hour episode because that was the month that Michelle was, she checked out because she had school. And we had Stacy, who is a very fun, from Prose and Palettes, the Bookstagrammer. She was on, and that was a really fun, entertaining episode. And because the goodies keep coming, we're also giving away a copy of The Way of Beauty by Camille DeMaio. If you guys remember, if you guys tuned in last week, we had her on last week, and she was totally fun. She is our sister from another mister, because we're all Italian, and that just automatically makes her even more family, not just because she was on the show.
Yeah, we could actually be cousins somewhere along the line. Like, there's a legit possibility.
Yeah, so like what I'm thinking is because her family was from Calabria, and my grandfather's side, my paternal grandfather, he was from Calabria. So she and I could be cousins. And then Michelle and I discovered that my father's mother is from Sicily, and Michelle's got family that's from Sicily. So she and I are cousins. So it's just like this one big family circle.
In a totally non-weird way, but like...
Yeah, totally. Because we're not weird here.
Nope, not at all.
I mean, we might stalk authors a little bit to get them on the show, but we're not weird.
But we mean it in the absolute best way. I mean, honestly, if I ever finish my book and I ever get it published, I would like die a very happy death if someone just tweeted me out of nowhere and was like, "Oh my God, what happens to the dog? Does the dog die?"
Because I've never done that.
No.
Don't ask. I've never given an author a hard time about the dog in the book.
But I don't have a dog in my book, so maybe it'll be about something else.
After I'll have people get mad at me because I do kill off characters in my book. I wonder if George R. R. Martin gets that issue. If he gets people going, why did you kill this character off? Why do you have no soul?
I think after a certain point, people just like gave up. They just assume. They probably tweet him if someone doesn't die.
Yeah, he's probably going to be like, in this next book, I'm going to change things up, and I'm not going to kill anybody.
Everyone lives.
Just once, everybody lives.
You get to live. You get to live. You get to live. That would be like a plot twist.
Everybody can live.
So where are you in, bless you, Daughters of the Night Sky?
I was coughing, but I'll take it. I am just about to start chapter 8 because I got really far. Like I said, I got caught up with Caroline. That's it really is like reading, like wrapping up in a nice warm blanket, especially, I don't know, we've been following the social media and the horrific stuff that's been going on. So I just had to just shut it all out, plug my ears, because I just couldn't take it anymore, and I've been reading this. So I didn't get too much further into Daughters of the Night Sky. Where I'm at, she's off at the training, and Moscow just got bombed by the Nazis.
So everything's like starting. So, oh my gosh, I can't even talk to you about the one thing that like totally pissed me off because you're not there yet.
Damn me.
This is what happens when I am ahead of you. The whole thing gets thrown out of whack.
God, I've got the hiccups now.
But I don't know if anyone saw, but I did post on our Facebook page and on Twitter an article about the actual women who were part of the 588th Regiment, were called the Night Witches. The
That's such a great name.
Right? And in German, it just sounds like even more like vicious, like Nachthexen.
What was that again, Michelle?
I can't do that again. Don't ask me to. But because I started wondering if Sophia was real, because Sophia is pretty badass. Like from what I haven't done a ton of research, and I'm sure we'll talk about this with Aimie next Monday.
Yes, we're going to be on Monday instead of Thursday, because yeah, that's the way the scheduling was working out. So yeah, visual we're going to be on Monday, but we'll have the audio up by Thursday, so we'll be a little bit early, but you know, otherwise.
Which I'm kind of bummed out about because TC is flying out on Wednesday, so I was totally going to have her like join us, even though she hadn't read the book, but whatever. But
we could totally have something with her.
We might do, I don't know, we might do something.
I don't know any episodes because we have to announce the raffle winners.
Oh, that's true. Oh, we'll do that.
We'll announce the raffle winners on Thursday, and she could come in and join us, and we can just have a good book discussion section.
Well, because for those of you who don't know, which is basically all of you, and except for maybe my mom. Hi.
Hasn't she filled in for me before, though? Hasn't Katie filled in for me?
Nope.
Oh.
TC is not actually her name. Her name is Katie. But my daughter, for some reason, decided that Katie was too hard to say, so she named her TC. And the name stuck. So TC is flying in next Wednesday because Emily Giffen is on her, well, will be on her book tour for her new book. And TC and I, like, fangirl hardcore for Emily Giffen. So we're going to go to her book signing. And totally off topic, but we just found out last week that the actor who played Dex, I'm getting so excited, the actor who played Dex from Something Borrowed is going to be at the book signing that we're going to.
Oh my gosh, I love the movie. I'm not a big fan of her books, which is okay because you're allowed to have things with other friends. Because you're allowed to have other friends. I'm okay with this. But yeah, I loved him in the movie. I love the movie version. The movie version was great because it was the girl who plays Snow White, Ginny.
Jennifer Goodwin, yep.
Yeah, she was in that, and she was so great in that. I love how she's such a charming actress, and she was so perfect in that role.
Rachel.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm gonna meet Dex. You guys, be jealous.
Yeah, and is Rich going with you or no? Because, I mean, Rich might have to be careful because he might lose his wife to Dex.
Like, TC and I are plotting out, like signs, not obnoxious, something funny. I don't know what we're going to do, guys.
If you get a restraining order from...
So, Michelle, are you going to Emily Giffin's next book signing? No, I can't. I'm sending Rich into the building, and I'm just gonna wait out in the car.
Michelle, you are not allowed to dry hump, to
please, I'll be lucky if I remember words. Okay, like I was all right with Emily Giffen because I was like in my author, like excited, let me pick your brain mode. But now we're throwing like celebrity into the mix, and I don't know. But it's Dex. Dex was my, oh, well, Ethan was a close second. But anyway, so you guys will meet TC next Thursday, and it'll be fun.
Yes, we should have a discussion now. Are we going to theme it by our favorite chick flick books? Or are we going to do, or should we just talk Harry Potter?
We can just talk like fandoms because there are a lot of fandoms that we
do. Now you see, guys, with TC, I know her as Kitty. She is the third house within our little Hogwarts circle.
True story.
Yeah, obviously I'm Slytherin. How could I be anything but? Michelle's Ravenclaw.
Obviously.
Yeah. And Katie is Gryffindor. And when you guys meet her on Thursday, you will see she is totally Gryffindor.
Oh my gosh, we don't have Hufflepuff.
I thought we had a Hufflepuff.
Well, I mean, we have Kaylin, who is Hufflepuff.
Kaylin is Hufflepuff. Kaylin is totally Hufflepuff. I love Kaylin. She's totally Hufflepuff. I find a lot of Hufflepuffs. Hufflepuffs have a tendency to be like drawn into the Slytherin world, and I end up with a lot of Hufflepuff friends. Maybe because I'm able to con them so easily, though I can't say I necessarily con my friends.
I don't know.
Maybe they're willing to go along with my mischief much easier than
I'm the one who points out I don't know. I've thought about this from many different angles, Diana, and I don't know if this is a good idea.
Bullshit, you don't do that to me.
The ideas that I present have been thought out in advance.
Yes, they have been thought out in advance, but when I come up with an idea and I'm like, great, we need to do this, you don't think about it. You're like, okay.
Well, it's a very fast thinking process.
Only a few times have you come up with flaws in my logic, and maybe that's because my logic isn't very flawed. I can go with that.
Like that sounds good.
Mm-hmm. Looking like a true Slytherin. Thank you very much.
But oh my gosh, we like veered.
We totally veered.
So I I was researching and reading an article or articles about the 588th Regiment, and I forget the name of the leader, but it wasn't, her name wasn't Sophia, but it was obviously another Russian pilot. But do you know how badass you have to be as a woman to rise up in the Russian army during a time when they did not want women in the military?
For that matter, to rise up in the world of like that. And I love the scene. I feel like, okay, is Katya gonna get more sarcastic as time goes on? Because I feel like she is, because she got sarcastic in chapter 7, and I was like, okay, I like you. You and I can be friends.
The person who I feel like gets more sarcastic is her friend, Tasia. That's how I'm pronouncing her name. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it correctly. But she gets super sarcastic because once
Tasia, that's how you pronounce it.
Once they get selected for Sophia's group of pilots, and then you'll meet the final women who are going to round out the cast for the book. And one of them, her name's Oksana, and she's like, you kind of don't like her, like she's kind of a bitch, but not so much, like kind of on Carlotta's level.
But I feel like she has to be, because I mean, if she's risen to that rank, to where she's risen in a world where women aren't welcome in the military, then,
well, I mean, yeah, how many other women, I mean, forget the men who don't want them in there and who are trying to get them kicked out for like the dumbest reasons in the world. Then you have to beat out all the other women who are trying to do the same thing that you want to do. So obviously a certain level of detachment and bitchiness is required.
I'll just go straight for the bitchiness.
I was gonna like ease into it.
You see what character traits I appeal to.
But I love Sophia. Like, I love she's super in the official capacity. Like, she's hardcore, and she's, you have to do this, and this is what's expected of you, and da da da. But when it's just them, she's like, okay, guys, you can call me Sophia. Like, it's just us. I'm a woman. I know what you're going through. And there are moments, and I don't want to like give too much away because you haven't caught up with me yet. But there are moments when you can see that even though she's risen to the position that she's in, she still has to deal with the same discrimination that her pilots have to face. She's just endured it longer, and she's shut them down for longer.
I feel like even though this is a story that's taking place in World War II, it's still very timely for today's audience, because you still have these issues that women have to face, and there's so many great lessons that you can learn from these women. And it's so rare that we get to see women in World War II do anything but be nurses. In the media, we've seen that you get to be a nurse. You don't get to be a battlefront. Or you get to be a cook or a nurse, which are still very pink-collar jobs in general. I mean, nursing, not so much anymore like it used to be. You're starting to get more of a mixed genders in that. But when you portray them in Hollywood, it's still women are nurses and men are doctors. Women are the cooks for the most part.
Well, there is one scene, and you're probably, I don't remember if it's in chapter 8 or 9, but you're coming up on it. And it's like, it's one of the scenes where you have to put the book down and walk away because you get so mad at it.
Oh, man.
You're going to get mad at the book.
You're going to get text messages from me.
I had to put it down and walk away, and like, oh, it's just, and I don't know, normally I don't get that angry with characters, but like I was talking out loud. I was like, well, this is bullshit. Like, seriously? This is gonna happen on top of everything else?
I am gonna be in so much trouble because I'm the one who always gets mad at the characters.
Yeah, you're gonna be mad.
And
And
those where I'll talk to Ryan about it, and I'm like, I can't believe this character did this, and this happened, and he's like, are you talking about books, or are you talking about real people? I don't know who you're talking about.
like, and then Katya had this done, and Sophia, you know,
and this guy, I just really.
fictional or a non-fictional? Should I be really concerned about this story, or should I just be entertained by this story?
This is why I typically only talk about books to you as opposed to my husband, because he's like, the books I read, he's not the audience for. He's like, okay, all right. Like I was reading, I was listening to Eve Babbitt's this past week. That was my audiobook that I selected, and I loved every minute of it. And I love that Sarah brought up audiobooks because a good audio narrator can really make or break an audiobook.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, you go.
I was looking at my new audiobooks today because I finished Black Swans, which was the Eve Babbitt's book I was listening to. And I went to pick up one book, and I couldn't stand the narrator. I could not stand her voice. I couldn't stand, it felt very robotic the way she read. And so I was like, yeah, I can't do this. Because you've got to truly act when you're doing audiobooks. And yeah, with Eve Babbitt, she wrote this one sentence, and the way the narrator put it, it was, you know, his bad mood was ash on the scarlet LA sunset. And I was just like, it was so beautiful. And I told it to Ryan, and he was like, okay. How can you just be okay about that? That is such a beautiful sentence in the way that you said it. And I was just like, right now, Eve Babbitt is my total girl crush for literature.
I have to look up okay.
No, go ahead.
I'm listening to The Magician King on audio, which is kind of, so The Magician's on Sci-Fi. I think I have like inadvertently stumbled on the sequel to the book because I picked up things from like the second season in the book, so I feel like they melded the second book into the first season and into the third one.
Mm-hmm.
But the actor who's reading this book is amazing. Like, oh, his voice is perfect, and he can do all these different voices for the characters. Mm-hmm. And the way that he, like, the inflection and the tone that he reads everything in, I just want to, can you come over and read my grocery list, because you'll make food shopping a lot more exciting.
Exactly. And then, you know, I know some people discount audiobooks, and I love audiobooks because there's some books out there where I feel you need to both read and listen to. I think Eve Babbitt's is one where her books you need to both read it and listen to it. My next step is to actually pick up the physical book and read the physical book, because you get a whole other dimension to the literature. Mark Twain is another one. Ernest Hemingway, Italo Calvino. He's one of my favorite authors. His is, now for him, talk about fangirl. Listen to this one, Michelle. He's an Italian author, and I plan on listening to him. Each book, I'm going to listen to it, and then I'm going to read it in English, and then eventually read it in Italian too.
That's next level fangirl.
Right? And it's a good, you know, and it's not like I can go stalk him and go do, you know, an In Search of Fellini situation with him, because he's passed away. But I feel like, you know, that's the best way to just fully engross myself in this author's writing. But some, you know, it's the way of language. It's the different dimensions within, you know, being able to listen to something and being able to read something. And I think it's like something that's really necessary.
I feel like maybe one day we should bring an actor on the show who does an audiobook that we have listened to?
Oh, I've got a couple in mind. One of the ones that I just recently listened to was it was the latest one. Gosh, the same one who did Nightingale, and I'm totally blanking on the name, and I'm sure somebody's out there listening, screaming the name at me.
The Light Between Us, or The Ocean Between Us, or something?
No. She did the Nightingale.
Oh, the actress.
Yes. She did the author who did the Nightingale. She did a new one, and I'm pulling it up at my library. The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. That's the one who did it, and it was narrated by Julia Whalen, and she was phenomenal as a narrator. She really helped pull that in. I think both her and there's a Campbell. Miss Campbell, I can't remember her first name. Those are my two favorite narrators. Because I listen to audiobooks all the time, both because I have a fairly long commute, so I'll listen to them either in the car, or I'll listen to them at work while I'm working. I'm by myself. I love it. I love being able to, really soak in these books.
Yeah, I recently discovered audiobooks when I drove from here to North Carolina and back. And I don't know why I haven't been doing that for many, many years.
I don't know why you haven't been doing it either, because I've been telling you how awesome they are.
I don't know. I always kind of thought they were lame. And like I was being a book snob. Like I have to feel the pages beneath my fingertips to really connect with the book. No, you need a good actor to read the book to you.
I did that for Frankenstein is another one where I've both read and listened to it to really get the dimensions for it, especially since I'm going to do Frankenstein and Feminism at the McCarr Art Center in Santa Ana on August 18th. We'll wait to fill in that plug. But yeah, and that was Dan Stevens who narrated that. And
look up this guy who's narrating this book.
Yeah, I used to have that mindset, that really snobbish mindset, but I love it. And if you guys want to check out audiobooks, we actually have a great thing going on our website. If you go to winewomenwordspodcast.com and go to our bookstore page on that, you can actually, at the bottom of that page where you see the links to the books that you can actually buy on Amazon, there is a link for Audible. And you can go ahead and click on that and get an Audible subscription through us, and you get 2 free books for your Audible, first Audible thing, which is great because, you get credits once a month. And sometimes I find for me, it'll take me about roughly a month to finish an audiobook, because sometimes, you just want to listen to music on the way home, or it's a longer book. And I love the credits for Audible because, I pay $15 a month for my membership, and I get 1 credit a month, and that credit's good for any book. So I can get books that are like $20, $30, audiobooks that are $20, $30 audiobook, but I've only spent my $15 for the 1 credit. So I get it at a discount, which is really cool.
His name is Mark Bramhall.
And he's the one who's narrating The Magician's Lie?
The Magician King.
Oh, Magician King. Okay, sorry. Wrong magician. Because you did listen to The Magician's Lie.
I did. And that actually was interesting. It was narrated by 2 people to tell the different perspectives. So there was a man who narrated when it was Arden and the sheriff and their story. And then it was a woman narrating Arden's life, like in the past leading up to the murder. So it had 2 different narrators, and they were both very good. The woman who narrated Arden's story, she had a very soothing, rocking, a very smooth voice. And at first I was like, oh my God, I can't listen to this. She's gonna put me to sleep. But she did not.
I love that book. That was the first book. I believe that was Greer's first book. And, I didn't know who Greer was when I first picked that up. And I picked it up and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I didn't actually get to know Greer until The Girl in Disguise.
And I totally, is it bad that I want to buy that book again so I can have the paperback because I love the cover?
That cover is so great. And guys, we're going to have her on next year. She's got a book coming out next year, and we already have her book for next year. And I absolutely love her. And she's one of those authors that I just want to have on. We have like these, you know, a handful of authors that we absolutely love that we just want to have on over and over again. Her, Scott Wilbanks, have them on just because, just to talk books and literature for no particular reason.
Yep, it's true. We have our Wine Women and Words family.
You know, I think we might have to do an extra episode for the audiobooks. I will reach out to the audio, a couple of the audio actors and see if one or two of them are interested.
That would be so fun.
I know, and I finally have somebody I could share my audio fangirling over. That would be so cool.
Well, on that note, you guys, we are at our hour. That went by super fast.
It did go by really fast. And we barely talked about the book.
I know. We were kind of all over the place this week. Apologies.
Yeah, I don't. My head's just all over the place today. I think it's been a rough week. I had a very stressful work week, and all that bullshit that's been going on with the migrant children, not to get into the politics side, but regardless of where you stand, it's pretty damn disturbing. And I think tonight I just needed this time to talk about a couple books, and just my brain just cannot stay on task.
We had to nerd out for an hour is what she's saying.
Yes, I'm saying that because I am on my second glass of wine, and it was a healthy glass. I mean, I poured a good chunk.
Well, okay. I had a pretty decent sized first glass, only because I blame Instagram for this. Instagram kept shutting down. I was doing like a boomerang, and it was super cute because Caroline was in the background, and I was pouring my glass of wine, and it shut down after each time I tried to film it. So by the time I was done, my glass was like up to here.
Did you get to film it though?
No, it kept shutting down, and finally I gave up.
Because we need more stories on our Instagram. If you guys aren't following us on Instagram, feel free to follow us. We would really appreciate it. It's Wine Women Words. Is it just Wine Women Words, or is it Wine Women Words podcast?
No, it's just Wine Women Words.
Yeah, go to Wine, because I think we didn't start doing Wine Women Words podcast until we started doing like the website and stuff. So go to Wine Women Words Instagram.
Have we extended the giveaway for the coffee, or did we pick our winner yet?
No, we picked our winner. We did pick our winner. Our winner for the coffee was Antoinette. So yay! I did extend out our birthday giveaway because Monday's coming up really fast, and we do have the 5 different gifts. We've got 4 books plus a gift card, and we need to give. I do want to give a special shout out to our wonderful sponsors. We had some great friends of the show step up and say, hey, I'm going to help you guys celebrate, and we're going to give gifts to your audience. Because you guys who listen and watch us are fantastic. I mentioned this on the website a little bit. When Michelle and I started this 2 years ago, it was really like, hey, let's nerd out over some books. And we knew nothing. And we've been learning, and it's been an incredible ride just being able to share our love of books and to be able to talk about books and meet people and develop friendships through the show. And the fact that we have a show and now we have sponsors, and we are, I kid you not, guys, we are pretty much full for 2017 with guests.
18. 18. Not 2017.
18. We are full for 2018 with guests, and it's incredible. We have so many guests that we're talking about, like adding in brunches and doing like special episodes, and even, you know, normally we save that first episode of the month for just ourselves. I don't know. I'm considering maybe opening it up to have other authors on for that.
We may have to and do like little half-hour just us.
Yeah, and it's been such a cool, incredible ride, and it's so rewarding. And I'm just so thankful to the people who actually like take the time to listen to us and watch us.
You guys, she's getting emotional.
I am. This is what happens when I have a couple bottles of bottles. I wish. I'm going to say that for this weekend. This is what happens when I have a couple glasses of wine and I start talking about how awesome our fan base is, and people, because they're not really fan base, they're friends of the show. And I went off on this weird tangent before I started to say thank you to our friends of our show, our sponsors. You know, Panama Joe's Coffee on Instagram. Follow them, check them out, order from them. They're really great coffee. I mean, I kind of don't want to part with the pound of coffee that I got from them because it smells so freaking good. And then we've got HarperCollins. HarperCollins, they are a sponsor of the show. They typically provide a lot of our books that we have and a lot of the authors that we have. And they're the ones who are providing a copy of Caroline. And then we also have Get Read PR. They are providing 2 of our books for the giveaway, which is super awesome of them. And then last but not least is Black Chateau Publicity, or PR. Black Chateau Enterprises, I believe, is the official name of the group. She's provided us great authors. She hooked us up with Deborah at the beginning of the year. And I will always forever love our drinking game that we had on the show. And she's the one giving us a $25 gift card to give out to you guys. So we've got really great friends of the show. And Winc. We've got the sponsorship with Winc. I can't forget them. Because they provide us the alcohol. And we've got a lot of people who provide us alcohol.
It's like a third of the show right there. We
so yes.
Wind.
Long,
the words.
Short, thank you. We love you.
Okay. Go home, Diana.
I swear to God, I'm not drunk yet. It's only Thursday. I've saved my drunkenness for the weekend.
Well, on that note, keep reading Daughters of the Night Sky. And remember, we are airing on Monday next week with a special bonus episode of TC on Thursday. And I guess have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, hit us up with questions if you have any questions on Daughters of the Night Sky or anything you want us to pass on to Aimie. I'm excited to have Aimie on the show.
I know. It's going to be a fun episode.
It is.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.